And good morning, everyone. Good to see you all today. I'm glad you've joined me. If we could go just to my screen for a minute, John. There we go. All right. Good to see you today. I'm really glad you've joined us. I'm really glad you're here today. We got exciting things to do. A whole hour packed with great stuff. So, folks, once again, thank you. And when you check in, would you write down where you're from? I always like to know where people are from when they're joining us, and that would be kind of a cool thing if you would. So I'm sitting here in the storehouse, the sanctuary storehouse. Behind me is our kitchen. This big building here is where we have our sanctuary gatherings, our barbecue once a month, our barbecue once a month, and then also our Acts 242 gathering once a month, which is always the following day for our Saturdays and Sundays. So if you haven't joined us yet, please do. That would be awesome. Well, folks, we have a great show today. Roger Dale Martin from Vengeance will be joining me, and we're going to do some unboxing today. We're going to unbox this guy, the new Vengeance 35th anniversary box set, and that'll be pretty fun. So, again, lots of good things to cover today. If you're just joining me, write down where you're from, and I would love to recognize you, love to talk with you. That'd be great. Rodney is here from Australia. Good to see you again, Rodney. Awesome. Great to have you here. And BD is here from Kansas City, Missouri. There you go. Good. Good morning. Good morning. Timothy Eaton, my good friend, good morning to you from right here in the Nashville area. Our good friend and part of Sanctuary here. Always good to see you, Tim. Awesome. Well, I'm drinking a little bit of Headbangers Brew this morning. Great stuff. Great stuff. And we'll be talking about that in a little while, too. Good morning from Virginia, David says. David, I'm glad you've joined us as well. So, folks, we're going to take just a few minutes and answer your questions or just say hello today, whatever. And then about halfway through, we're going to invite Roger Dale Martin to join us, and we'll talk a bit about Vengeance history. We'll do the unboxing. We're going to have a great time with that. And I want to ask Roger what he's up to these days. You may want to know. 35th anniversary unboxing is what we're going to do today. And so it's going to be a great show, a really great show. Well, John, we have something else in my ear, and I think there's somebody else's sound that might be on, so we could check that. David, there we go. David, good morning to you. David is from Waipaca, Wisconsin. I know him well. He helped to build a lot of the stuff, so I'm glad he's joined us as well. Jamie is here from Washington State. Folks, if you're just joining us, write down where you're from, and love to be able to say hello to you this morning. Our good friend Marcus is here from Sweden, and I've spent a lot of time in Sweden. It's one of my favorite places, and good to see you, David. And Eli Sanders is here. Thank you for joining us. I want to include Eli in just a little bit. Eli wrote a comment that I thought was very good, and Roger Dale and I are going to talk about that, Eli, coming up in just a little bit. And Heaven's Pill, I like that, from New York. Good morning to you as well. Folks, it's a great day. It's a little bit rainy here in Middle Tennessee in the United States, but beautiful day. And of course, the humidity is high, but other than that, we're good. And enjoy living here. This has been a great place. I realize that I have now lived in Tennessee in just a couple months. It will be 30 years. Doesn't even seem possible at all. 30 years in Tennessee. It's the longest that I've lived in any one location. It's something, isn't it? So Timothy says, Manchester, Tennessee. Yes, absolutely. Another Timothy is here from North Carolina, or excuse me, not North Carolina, Van Nuys, California. I need to put on my stronger glasses, don't I? And that would be great. David, we already said, from Wisconsin, and he's a great friend of the ministry and a great friend of the family. They had Thanksgiving dinner with us last year, him and his wife. So good folks there. Murray is here from Australia, from Brisbane. So glad to have our Aussie friends here today. It's a little late there. It's getting on towards later in the evening, so I appreciate you staying up and spending some time with me. Steve is here from Virginia. Welcome, Steve, to the program. So, folks, we're going to spend a little time saying hello, and if you have any questions, please write them out, and we'll do Q&A for a little while this morning before we bring Roger Dale on. Danny is here from Texas, Fort Worth, Texas. Got a lot of good Texas friends. And Brian, great friend of the ministry from St. Louis. And he says, Roger Dale, wahoo. Yeah, exactly. Tim Corey is here from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Good to have you here, my friend. That was a bad Wisconsin impersonation, wasn't it? Matthew from Cleveland, Ohio. Love Cleveland. And Harvey is here from also Ohio. Got a few Ohio guys here today. Awesome. Folks, if you have any questions, comments, please leave them. Also, write down where you're from. My old friend Kevin, good to see you, my good friend. Awesome. Kevin and I have been friends for a lot of years. Appreciate you, my friend, and thanks for joining us today. That's awesome. Having a little Headbangers brew this morning. Alvin is here from New Mexico. Some great friends in New Mexico, and such a great place. And Eli Sanders is from Atlanta. So, Eli, you're not all that far away from us, are you? About 3 hours, maybe 4 hours? Fairly close. And a beautiful drive to get there. David White is here. Good morning, he says, and Roger Dale. I'm in Littleton, Colorado, near Aspen. I know where Littleton is. And yeah, great place, great place. Love Littleton. I've spent a lot of time there too. So it's a wonderful place, beautiful place in Colorado. And Chris Keene is here. Chris is on our sanctuary staff. He's a professor at Azusa, California, Azusa Pacific College. And yeah, so it's good to have you here too. John, there's other sounds coming through. If we could turn that off, that would be great. David is here from California as well. We got a lot of good Californites here today. That's awesome. And yeah, I lived in California up till 30 years ago. Can't believe it's been that long. And Kevin is from Modesto, California, as you see. Our good friend Kevin Carruthers. James is here from San Antone in Texas. Awesome. Timothy is a Triple Ace baby. There you go. Roger Dale's old band called Triple Ace. We'll have a good time talking about that too. We got Roger Dale Martin joining us in a little while. It's going to be good. He's got some great things to say. He always does. Bill Murphy is here this morning from Grand Rapids, Michigan. Good to have you join us too. So, as I said, I'm right here in our storehouse, and this is where a lot of things happen. This is where our homeless ministry is. We've also been serving food to families that are taking in children that are being sex trafficked. And that's been interesting as the whole family and the kids come here as well. We're working actually on building a playground for them here right outside the building. And we're really happy to be involved with that and the homeless ministry and a lot of other ministries. Not only do we operate that, but we're a food distribution center for everyone too. So right over here, you can't see, is a walk-in cooler and then a walk-in freezer. And we can store a lot of food here. And it goes out almost every day to other ministries that are doing a fantastic job. We're excited for that. Behind me is our kitchen. And then, of course, the rest of the building that you can't see is where we have our sanctuary meetings, and we're able to put a lot of people in here. So it's been a great place. Well, folks, if you're just joining me, write down where you're from, and I appreciate that. Here's our next event. Thank you for putting this up, John. The next event is October 7th and 8th. I'll be speaking. Our sanctuary worship team, led by Jim Laverty from Barron Cross, will be playing, and I believe we'll have Glenn also from Vengeance and Georgia Choa from, gosh, Recon, Deliverance, et cetera, et cetera. And plus, he's got a couple bands going these days as well. And we've got a really good worship team that'll be joining us. And 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday. So if you're ready for a road trip, come on down. You know, it's amazing to me how many people come from like 8 or 10 hours away. Some people drive the distance just to spend the weekend with us. And we really appreciate that. It's so great to have them. Tom Denlinger, my old friend. We haven't talked in years. We haven't. Writing our 5th Sardonyx album. That's awesome. As you know, Tom is the singer for Sardonyx, a really, really great metal band. And I appreciate them so much. And we're excited, Tom, to hear what you've got coming up. Gosh, I'm so happy to hear you're going to put another album out. That's great. Bill Stone is here. Good morning to you, Bill. And folks, once again, sign in. Tell me where you're from. Our good friend Holly is here from Texas. And we appreciate you being here as well. Having a little Headbangers Brew. This is one of our mugs, and it says Classic Christian Metal Fan. And it's got all the band names, the top 20 in our poll. What are your favorite bands? And there you go. That's Headbangers Brew. I can hear the thunder in the background, so it's really storming out there. But yeah, John, we've got our Headbangers Brew. The money from Headbangers Brew, the profits go to support the ministry, and we're really happy about that. A lot of people are blessed through our food distribution, through our time on the streets, you know, through whatever it might be. So we appreciate you doing that. So I have something new to announce. I know, and you heard it here. This is our best-selling mug and t-shirt and poster with all the bands on it. And we're getting ready to release the new one. It's called simply Christian Metal Fan. And it is all of the metal bands, the top 20 most popular metal bands that you told us were your favorites, the top 20 from the beginning of Christian metal up until today. And that'll be the new one that's coming out very soon. You won't want to miss that one. It'll be a mug, a t-shirt, a poster, and I'm sure we'll have it on some other things too. So Todd is here from Indiana. Good to see you, Todd. So glad you've joined us. Pastor Bob, any chance of some other Immortal Festiles events in other states here in the United States? I got to speak with Wade Helm from Inner Siege, and he and his band would love to return to Tennessee. I would love to have Wade and the band return to Tennessee. That would be awesome. And honestly, Inner Siege is one of my favorite bands. They're awesome. And yeah, we do have some things in the works, and we'll see what happens, actually. We'd like nothing better than to hold an event like that right here in Nashville. We're working on it. We'll see what happens. Thank you, Timothy. And you can't have enough metal festivals. Jamie Clark. My goodness, I haven't seen your name for a long time. Jamie's from my hometown, little tiny town of 150 people. And I don't mean 150,000, I mean 150 in Broadview, Montana. Jamie's a great guy. I went to high school with his dad. And thank you for joining us, Jamie. Good to see you. Tragic from Dayton, Ohio. Thank you. Folks, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or comments, write them down, and love to hear from you. Sergio is here from Guatemala City. Awesome. Good to have you here. I love where people join from. I love the fact that there are people all over the world that join us, and what an amazing thing to have a place like this where everybody can come together and we can chat. Jim McCain, one of my good friends. Good morning to you, Jim. Jim's a great guy and a good friend for a very long time. Jason is here from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Love Sioux Falls. Sioux Falls is where they have the Corn Palace. Isn't that true? I believe so. Hope you're feeling okay, Bob. Missed you at Immortal Fest. I played bass with X-Sinner and Zion. Awesome, Jason. That's great. So I was exposed to COVID, quite exposed to COVID. And so I had to make a decision on what to do. I didn't know if I was actually going to come down with it or what was going to happen, but I knew I was going to be a super spreader if I went. So I was going to host the event and I had to stay home. I hated that. And I really missed being there. Really missed it. Next time. Jeff is here, says, we would love to play Tennessee. Please do. That would be so awesome. Love to have you play. And let's see what happens. You know, you never know. Financing is the biggest thing. And if we can get financing to pull something like this off, we'll definitely do it. We will definitely do it. Tiffany, my good friend, good to see you. And Tiffany lives in California. She's from the old Sanctuary Church, and she's a sweetheart. So good to see you, my old friend. I love this, spending time with friends old and new. That's pretty cool. And I'm sure Tiffany has joined us, not just to see me, but to see Roger Dale. Good morning, friend, A.V. Jr., good friend of the ministry. And I appreciate you, my friend. Miss seeing you this summer. Usually see you every summer at Audio Feed. So I miss seeing you this summer. Marcus said, me and my Christian metalheads. Good. There you go. We got a lot of good metalhead. We are metal. We are family, huh? And that's the way it is. We're going to bring Roger Dale Martin here in just a little bit, just a few more minutes. Got some great things to talk to him about as we talk about vengeance and some of the history. And you're dying to know what Roger's up to these days, I can tell. Bryce is here. Are we going to have another round of Immortal Fest in Ohio next year as well? I hope so. It's awesome. It is awesome. And I don't have any control over that. Steve, the guy that puts this on, who runs the whole center where we have this, I'm hoping made some money this year so that he could do it again, but I'm not sure he did. Yeah, it's a little slim. It's quite an undertaking to bring on all of those bands. Iron J is here from South Carolina. Good to have you here today. And yeah, I'm hoping we have another one. It really was a great time. And Tiffany said, I'm glad you made a good choice and took care of yourself. Well, thank you. And of course, my concern was mostly my mom. I wanted to make sure she wasn't infected. And also, I just didn't want to infect a lot of people. I can see a lot of people coming home from Immortal Fest said, yeah, Pastor Bob gave me COVID. Yeah, that's not a good idea. So AV Jr. said, speaking of Christian metal, War of Ages released a new song, Apocalypse, and it's awesome. Love War of Ages. And by the way, they are on the new cup. They're one of the top 20. Great band, really great band. And I can't wait to hear it. I haven't heard the new song yet. Jonathan Skeggs is here. Good morning, all from Southwest Michigan. Good to have you here, too. Eli said, I interviewed Roger Dale back in the late 90s for a zine I published back then. You know, the history goes back so far, doesn't it? And it's amazing to me, Eli, how people just continue to listen, continue to, you know, to love the bands. And I love that. Glenn Mancaruso, the drummer for Vengeance, is here with us this morning too. And Glenn, feel free to chime in anytime as well. We'd love to have you here too. Durwood Darby Kirby. I love that name. Gonna see War of Ages in 2 weeks. Great concert. You're in for a good one, aren't you? That's awesome. Well, folks, I want to bring Roger Dale on. And if you have questions for him, if you have comments, I want you to share those. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, Roger Dale will be joining us. Stay right there. It's my good friend Roger Dale joining us. There he is.
Hi, Pastor Bob.
Man, it's good to see you, my friend. It's great to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you.
And
good to be here.
Well, we got a lot of stuff to talk about today, Roger. I hope you're ready.
I'm ready.
And we got a lot of questions from people. And folks, once again, if you have some questions or comments, write them in. So Roger, 35 years since the Vengeance Project. That's incredible, isn't it?
Yes, sir. Very incredible. Sometimes it feels like 35 years and sometimes it doesn't. It's just whatever my point of view is at the time. I think about the concerts we have and a lot of the ministry did, and it feels like yesterday. And then I think about a lot of things that's happened in 35 years, and it seems like 35 years ago, Pastor Bob.
Yes, yes. It's been an eventful 35 years, hasn't it?
Yep.
So, Roger, you know what's amazing? And if you could bring, there we go. When people look at us, I know what they're thinking, Roger. They're thinking, man, you guys haven't changed a bit. Don't you think? That's what they're thinking, yeah. Because we look just the same as we did 35 years ago.
That's what my wife tells me. Yeah, they're not using their eyes, obviously.
We're losing hair. Our hair is turning colors. We're going through the whole thing, aren't we?
Yes, sir. We sure are.
That's awesome. Well, Roger Dale, I want to talk a little bit about Vengeance today, and then in a little bit, I want you to tell us what you've been up to, also, because you've got some really exciting things happening musically these days too. So we want to make sure we get to that. But one of the big things that I want to do today is to talk about this. Now, I'm sure you have yours, correct? Right there. There you go.
Yes, I do.
There
They
you
look
go.
exactly the same. Heck yeah.
So this is awesome. And before we do the unboxing, um, give me your thoughts on this, because I want to read you a comment that I got um, on Facebook. And Eli, the guy that wrote this, is actually with us right now, watching. And here's what he said, Roger. He said, as a Vengeance Rising mega fan, did you know you had mega fans? There you go.
Right.
He said, I'm extremely disappointed and let down by this new reissue. My very first tattoo was a portrait of Roger Martinez from the Human Sacrifice album. So he got a tattoo of Roger Martinez. He said, and I'm definitely a hardcore fan. Yes. These incessant reissues and releases, bootlegs, he calls them, are tarnishing the Vengeance Rising legacy, like the new Star Wars movie. And it's another reason why Jakey Lee will never play Bark at the Moon again, and Emperor will never make another album again. It's almost offensive to us diehard fans. Leave the legacy and the sacredness alone. Vengeance Rising is sacred, so quit damaging the legacy. That's an interesting comment, Raj. What are your initial thoughts?
My initial thoughts are it's a celebration. I think this box set is for collectors. You know, there's mega fans, and a lot of mega fans are not collectors. And this, to me, this one is special because it has a lot more. It has a booklet that's very, very important to me, and it's got everybody's story about Vengeance and how we felt about it, and a lot of different perspectives. I think there's Bill ROXX, ROXX Records, of course you, Pastor Bob, and most of the guys in the band have given their input. It's fantastic. I know we're going to unbox it. I understand for him saying, oh, you're messing up the legacy, but what it is to me, it is the celebration of the ministry that they just had. The reason we got a 35-year anniversary because the album changed lives. It was, and that's why it's so powerful even today. A lot of the mega fans are mega fans because the album was not just music to them. It was a brand new beginning. It was when they actually met Jesus Christ. And that's why we're celebrating. And I'm sorry if anybody's offended by the multiple releases, but to me this one it really is special. And of course I went to the Immortal Festival and I met a lot of mega fans of Vengeance, and they shared their testimony. To us this is like sharing our testimony about what happened 35 years ago and what can happen in the future. So that's how I see it as Roger Delvine.
You know, and that's a great answer. Roger, the other thing too that I was thinking is that, you know, it's amazing to me how many new fans you have. This isn't something where people just come up and say, I listened to you 35 years ago. It's also people saying, I just found you. I just heard the band for the first time, and they're awesome. And this box set is a good collection of stuff that a new fan is going to get a hold of and appreciate. So I don't think it has so much to do with legacy, you know, past legacy as it does present legacy. Would you say that's true?
Yes, I will say that's true. And at the first Immortal Fest, part one that was in July this year, I noticed there was men, women my age, but they had their kids with them. And I heard from one guy said, "Man, you got 4 brand new fans." Me and my 3 boys were at the concert, and I see that a lot now. In Europe, that happens more as far as fathers presenting music to their sons. And it's like, it's more happening in Europe, but I saw it happening at Immortal Fest this year. And that's another reason why this 35th anniversary, like you said, Pastor Bob, is very important, because we can get some new fans, but not necessarily new fans, but those who can read the lyrics. And that's where our ministry lies.
Yes.
And we want to go forward. If it's possible, Vintage Rising will keep on keeping on, if that's possible. And I think this 35th anniversary will give the platform for that to happen.
You know, and Roger, don't you think that we kind of built this for longevity too? You know, I remember our very first meetings when we were trying to figure out exactly what to do with the band. And we wanted to do something that was way on the edge, kind of very current, something that had some some longevity, and something that was extremely, edgy. And I think that's one of the reasons that it's kind of stood the test of time, because the music really, when you listen to it, is still current.
Yes, sir. It is very current. And a lot of times with new bands and stuff, I refer to my son Daniel, and he says, Roger, this is the latest thing, and he'll spin something for me. And I'm thinking, man, this just sounds really close to what we did 35 years ago.
Yes.
And of course, you got thrash metal, and then you got death metal. There was a lot of genres that spun off from the album Human Sacrifice.
Yes.
And so as far as musically, I still think we're very relevant. I still hear the vocals, the same vocal style. I still hear thrash licks. And the Human Sacrifice actually had more than thrash. We had some blues elements in there. We had a lot of different things that appealed to a lot of different people. Now, it was thrash and speed metal oriented, but it stood the test of time, and it's still relevant today.
Yeah, absolutely. And it did stand the test of time. And it also, as you said, spawned a lot of other bands. I remember the days when people were describing their music, and they would say, well, we kind of sound, it's on the line of Vengeance. And they would compare themselves. It's like today when people use music that has a different tempo, and they'll do key changes, and they'll say, well, it's kind of along the line of Meshuggah, because there are certain bands that kind of, it's a benchmark for music. And I think Vengeance was one of those.
Yeah, I think so too. Gosh, it was a benchmark in so many ways, as far as intensity, as far as stepping out of the box. Now, we weren't quite sure of the success of Vengeance. We just knew there was a need for it. We saw the need for it back then. And so were we investing in a sure thing? Absolutely not. We were not investing in a sure thing. But it did. God was moving in that area. We didn't. Well, we thought so, but it definitely proved to be that God was working it and with Vengeance Rising and with Sanctuary in general at that time. Vengeance took us all in a new direction as far as Sanctuary. We had Sanctuary behind us, and Pastor Bob, thank you for that. Because they didn't really embrace us right off the bat, but they did embrace us. We shattered the mold when it came to the 1-800 number. That is what really took off, because it was a ministry then. It wasn't music.
Yes,
and that was
right.
huge. That was huge. So many things that I think we were a benchmark for, as far as the speed, as far as the accuracy. As far as the diversity, as far as the thrash and speed metal movement. So thank you. I appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much, Pastor Bob.
That's awesome. And like you said, Roger, it's just really, really stood the test of time. So, folks, I'd like to do the unboxing. And Roger Dale, I can't believe how nice this is. I mean, it's incredible, isn't it?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. Yes, it is. Yeah. It's fantastic. Of course, we have a black and white cover, and the original cover was in color. But
yes.
Now, so we'll have to see what's inside the box. But I kind of dig that black and white thing. It's something different and something even a little edgy for for the reissue. So we'll see what's inside.
Yes. Well, I took the cover off, and this is a piece of foam that keeps everything nice there. I mean, this is really high quality. And there's my little note from Bill Bafford. Bill's the one that put all this together, and
Cool.
appreciate what he's done. It has a certificate of authenticity also as well, but there it is, and it comes with the vinyl. Um, that's awesome, isn't it? A vinyl, the original vinyl, and then this is the booklet you were talking about, Roger. And quite a few of us wrote in here. I tried to write the history of Vengeance as much as I could remember. And that's why this set, Roger, is such a collector's item, because there's some things in here that people haven't seen, or hopefully some information that they've never heard before. And a lot of articles here. There's well, like I said, there's a story of Vengeance. There's a lot of Bill wrote some things in it. Um, let's see, Glenn Rogers, who wrote a lot of the original songs. Glenn Mancaruso wrote in it. Doug Thiem. You know, you've got, just everybody in the band, and then plus it's got all the lyrics. And Roger, this is really a very classy thing, isn't it?
Oh man, it's fantastic. That makes it, as far as I'm concerned, that booklet is happening. It gives
Oh
different
yeah.
perspectives. So many different people writing about vengeance, and so we have different points of view, and that's fantastic. Also, we got the lyrics in there, Pastor Bob, just like you said. If there's new, we can get new fans, and we can actually, with the lyrics, which is the Word of God, you know how it works. We can get new
Yes.
people into the kingdom with this 35th anniversary.
Mm-hmm. And every song had a Bible study that went along with it too.
Yes, it
Very
was.
scripturally well, and yeah. So Tom Denlinger, do you remember Tom Denlinger from Sardonyx, Roger? The singer for Sardonyx?
His name is familiar. Yes, sir.
Yes. He said, just a quick encouragement. Roger, you probably won't remember this, but I sat beside you on a plane when our bands were flying into Casper, Wyoming to play at Metal Quest 93. You remember that, Roger? Metal Quest?
Yes, I do.
Yes.
I do.
He said, I want to thank you again for taking the time to share from God's word on stage. You guys had gone through a lot at that point, post Martinez, and you carried the responsibility of ministering to your fans. Music is only that, what gives us credibility to love on people in Jesus' name, and that's the way Christian metal should be. Great. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that.
Tom, thank
Yes.
you. Awesome, man. That is very, very
Yeah.
cool. I'll remember the gig. You know what? There's a part in my brain that remembers the trip up there and meeting you,
Yes.
Tom. So thanks for the testimony. Appreciate that.
Yes. Well, Eli says, does Roger still have the bootleg I mailed him from the Once Dead tour when his brother died?
Eli, I think that I have that somewhere. I remember listening to it. Yeah, I do. Yeah, in fact, yes. Thank you, Eli. Now I remember a lot about that. At the time, I was doing other things, and Vengeance was a million miles away from my brain. But when you sent that to me, it brought everything back. It flooded. It blew me away, actually. And that one tape that you sent, Eli, was just. I remember when I listened to it, and it brought everything back. It might have been in Minnesota at the Union or whatever that place was, but it brought back the show and everything.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. I appreciate that, Eli.
Yes, that's huge. Well, Roger, getting back to our box set, also a great poster here.
Yeah, poster.
That's a nice one. And then, here's some cool things. Here's a couple coffee coasters. There you
Headbangers
go.
Brew.
That needs to be on it. Yes. And then it's got a little card. It's like a business card, Vengeance, Human Sacrifice.
It looks
And
kind of like a
then,
baseball trading card.
yes. And then at the very bottom of it is a cassette tape, a CD, actually two CDs, one the original and then the reissue. And that's all right here in this as well. So I don't think many of us have a cassette player anymore, Roger, but it's nice to have that as a keepsake, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, that's part of being a collector. And some people do have
Yes,
cassette decks.
totally
And
is.
if you got an older car, you may have a cassette deck that was just built in there.
Yes, that's right. And you can pick them up online for pretty cheap.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. Well, Roger, how fun is this? And I love this set. I really love this set. And, Bill Bafford, the guy that owns ROXX Records, I believe became a Christian at Sanctuary. He was involved with Sanctuary from the very early days. And I remember so many stories about him and his family and just the great folks that they were and are. And I appreciate Bill through the years putting out all these old albums once again, because a lot of people have trouble getting them. That's the other thing. And if you can find a Vengeance album online, you might just, pay what this box set costs, to
Yeah,
get
that's
it.
true.
So Tiffany, you remember Tiffany from the California church? Tiffany Powers?
Yeah, I
Um,
remember the name. Yes.
yes. She said, "Was that your hand on the cover?" Yeah, it was. And it's all healed now, by the way. But yeah. Well, I believe Chris Keene has joined us. Chris is online. He may have more to say about this, but Chris actually did the special effects makeup on it, and one of our elders actually did the photography. It was Roger. It wasn't a low budget album. It was a no budget album. We didn't have any money, did we?
No, we
Yeah,
sure didn't.
yeah. So it all came together, and I remember those late nights recording, and I remember one night in particular, you guys asked me to come and sing scream some background vocals, and I was screaming right along with you, and after a while I thought I forgot what we're saying. I said, "Now what are we saying again?" I was screaming and I didn't even know, but just such great memories, weren't they, Roger? I mean, the
Yeah,
recording of this first album. Yeah.
yeah. The recording of the first album was fantastic. We had a lot of fun. We were very confident going into the studio because we knew the songs by heart. We had that California work ethic, and so we went into the studio. We just blew doors. Everything went very quick. I think Glenn Mancaruso, he did all of his stuff in one session. And then I believe I was right after him the next night, and I did mine in one session. So it went pretty quick. We were very
Yeah.
confident about the material. We liked the studio. We liked our engineer. We liked everything about it.
And do you see what Glenn just wrote here on screen? He said, "Why didn't we bring it out on 8-track?" Now, see, that would have been an idea right there. Release it on 8-track tape.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. In
that's
1988,
awesome.
8-tracks were about done. You know.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, great times in the past, Roger. Great times 35 years ago when this all started. But, people say, well, those were the good old days. But, Roger, these are the good old days as well. And you haven't stopped doing music. Let's talk about that for a minute. Your new band, and you guys performed at Immortal Fest, this last one, the one before this last one. And uh, and Roger, by the way, I love watching Roger on stage because I've watched him for a lot of years. I watched him play before he was in Vengeance in his old band Emerald, and I've always been kind of a fan of Roger on stage. He's always had a lot of energy, and he's put on a couple years since then. But Roger, I've never seen you with more energy, more focused, and more dynamics with the audience than you did this time. Let's talk about your new band and talk about what's going on.
Okay, well, Pastor Bob, thank you for all those accolades. The new band is called Reign of Glory. Let's see if I can, there's the album, Reign of Glory. And I'm very excited about the band Reign of Glory because we put together an album. It's me and Nick Layton. We put together an album. We wanted to have an album that no one would ever ask, is this a Christian band or is this a Christian album? Every song glorifies Jesus Christ. And that was exactly, that's exactly what we wanted. We had Robin Cowell of Die Happy. He did the vocals and he wrote a lot of the stuff. He's a great songwriter, great vocalist. And
yes.
We were invited to Immortal Fest, and Robin couldn't make it. And my good friend Luke Easter, I gave him a ring and I said, look, I got a gig coming up and I need a vocalist. Luke was very happy to help us out. And one thing, Immortal Fest was a testing ground for all of us. Now we're veterans. And we never rehearsed for the gig. Now we did other things for the gig. We knew the material, and so we focused on other things. We focused on our show rather than the music, and so that's why we really made waves at Immortal Fest. And that told me that I'm not done yet. Reign of Glory is not done yet. In fact. There's a lot of things that's happening that was going to happen about, and I want to share this with everybody about, right before COVID hit, Pastor Bob had presented me with an idea of taking Vengeance, some new guys, and building Vengeance again and go to Europe, because Bob knows all these festivals over there. And we were going to actually minister to young people. It's like I said before, in Europe, we have the parents and the kids all together at a concert. At a concert. There we are. And I think that's happening in the United States right now. Also, there's something else that I want to let everybody know. We're ready to rock. If all these guys here, we're ready.
Well, we lost him. And John, maybe we'll get him back.
I'm sorry. I got a phone call. Is what happened and knocked me out. But what's going on is we're ready to go. Reign of Glory is ready to go to play whatever. But I see things happening right now. Now, I saw Immortal Fest, but there was an idea when I first moved to Nashville. And it was one of the reasons I moved to Nashville back in 1994. Yeah. And Pastor Bob had the vision of a rock and roll tent ministry, a rock and roll tent revival, where we were going to set up tents and actually have rock and roll and have bands play the tents. I see that happening again. In fact, I'm looking at Immortal Fest, and I'm looking at economy, I'm looking at the times right now. And I'm almost seeing a vision for either Immortal Fest going to like 6 different places, or if we had a huge tent and actually have tent revivals in major cities with these bands. I'm all for it. In fact, we have to be creative in this day and age because our economics are not what they used to be. And how's it going to be next year? Okay, how are people going to go? It costs a lot of money to go places. It costs a lot of money to go to Immortal Fest. But what if we took Immortal Fest to places where people didn't have to drive, where they didn't have to go all these places, and we can make it viable, and we can have a brand new ministry in a very creative way. So that's where my head's been at, Pastor Bob. And as far as the Reign of Glory, we're ready to go. Dude, we're ready to rock. I know that as far as a plan shows, everybody's been focused on Immortal Fest in the fall, but that's over now, and we're ready to go forward. And I'm telling you, we're ready to rock.
Yes. And Roger, I think the reality of the tent revivals isn't that far away. There's some things brewing right now that I think will make that happen. And I
Yeah.
have never lost that vision. I didn't expect it to take 30 years, but I've never lost that vision. I think what we had to do was we had to pioneer Christian metal internationally first. And that's what we've spent all these years doing. But I think it's time. And we need to spend some time in the United States in revival. And I totally agree. So, Roger, your new band is great band. You had Luke Easter, who's one of my favorite people. And he did, I talked to you and I said, how's it going with Luke? And you said, I just met him today. And I thought, you're kidding me. And you would have never have known that. I mean, as you said, you're all very seasoned. Of course, Luke was the singer for Tourniquet, and very seasoned, used to being on stage. And then you had a presence on stage that was, just incredible. And you had Jim Chapin on the drums from Crucified, and you guys just rocked the house, and it was an incredible time, a lot of energy, a lot of power. But Roger, it was exciting to me not only to watch you, but a lot of the older bands. And I remember when Mike Lee came out, with George's band, and they were singing, and then they brought out Ray Paris and Jim Liberty, and did a couple of the Barren Cross songs, and they did Deadlock, and they did what was the other one? Was it Stage of Intensity?
Imaginary Music?
I think. I can't remember, but anyway, I looked around and the whole place is singing along. Everybody remembered every word. They're all singing along. There was something so powerful happening during that time. And I just thought, this is not just music. These are not just bands. This is not just a legacy. This is a powerful, powerful ministry. And I agree with you. It needs to go on, and it needs to expand past the Immortal Fest idea, and it needs to travel. You're absolutely right. I think that's exciting.
Well, yes. At that moment you were talking about when they were just singing the old songs, it's encouraging. One of the things that we need to do as a band is encourage the saints, because we got some. Everybody knows the political environment. Everybody knows we might see. We may see some persecution soon, and we need to encourage each other, and that's what I see. I saw that at Immortal Fest. Was people say, well, it's more than a concert. It is more than a concert. Thank God, if you missed it, you might have missed it forever. This was one of those things that blew me away, because we actually had the freedom to worship God, and it was unreal. And will it ever happen again? I don't know. I think it's fantastic. I'm so glad I was a part of it. But there's more to do. We've got more to do. I mean, who told you to quit? Who told us to quit? Nobody did. Nobody told me to quit. In fact, I've been waiting on this Reign of Glory band. I've been looking for it, and I've been building it. I've been praying for this band for a long time. I've been staying in shape. You said, Roger, I liked how you performed on stage. Well, it's not. I worked it. Believe me, I work it. You were saying something about that the other day about you said about staying in shape and this kind of thing. But I've never given up the idea of being a musician. In fact, I'm always a musician. At 6 years old, I was a musician. I've had day jobs, but my head is always up here, and I'm not done yet. Okay, and I see a lot of these bands, man, they're not done yet. Okay, there's still things for us to do. Immortal Fest, well, I believe, was the beginning, and things are gonna boom shoot out like satellites from that gig. Will there be any more? I don't know. Probably not. Will there be new things? Yes, indeed.
Yes, absolutely. And Roger, the music isn't the only thing that's driven you all these years, is it? Your faith in Jesus Christ has been monumental for you, and that's the biggest drive, isn't it?
Well, I missed that, Pastor Bob. Say that again. I want to see the core of your question.
That's all right. I have the same thing. Roger and I are both wearing hearing aids, and my favorite word, Roger, is what? What?
You can't stop the clock.
We had too many years of loud rock and roll, Roger.
Woo,
so
you better.
Yeah. So I was just saying, the music has been a big drive for you, but your faith in Jesus Christ is what has sustained you, hasn't it?
Oh, you better believe it. That's the whole point, and that's. I'm so fortunate to be able to be a musician, a rock musician, a metal musician, and actually serve God in that capacity. It was unheard of for so many years for anybody to be that bold. But as far as my faith in Christ, it grows every day, because He told us, "Look, I'll never leave you, Roger. I got you right here. I got you, bud." He said, "I'll never leave you nor forsake you," and He's been faithful.
Yes.
Awesome. I don't
Awesome.
want to, so I thank God
Awesome.
for that.
Well, I love that. And Roger, that's the thing that keeps all of us going. And that's why we're not done yet. And it's the thing that gives us energy and drive and the desire after all of these years to keep going and to keep being relevant, because our faith in Jesus Christ is always relevant, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, you better believe it. It's who we are. It's the truth, and we want to share the truth.
Absolutely. Well, folks, thank you for joining us today. Our time whipped by, and we're going to have Roger on again. And Roger, will you come back again on the show? And
I would love to. I would love
maybe,
to, Pastor Bob.
That'd be awesome. We'll come back again. Folks, don't forget, every single Wednesday, we're doing Pastor Bob Live. Would love to have you join us, and love to have you be involved with this as well. Thank you so much to Roger Dale Martin, and we're excited for the new Vengeance stuff coming out, because it's a celebration, not just of music, but of ministry. God bless you, folks, and don't forget, you are blessed. So go and be a blessing.